Audacity.
Yes.
Now, I love this word for a lot of different reasons. Now, for me, when I think of audacity, I immediately think of a mediocre man.
Mm.
So, because I feel like they have the audacity of kings, honey. Where do you get the audacity? Who? How? I need to be raised as a mediocre man because I feel like if I had their confidence, the things I would have, and I've accomplished a lot, but I feel like I might actually run planet Earth if I had the audacity that just naturally flows through their veins. So, what is audacity to you?
Well, first, I'm just so happy to be here. And you know how much I love you.
I love you
And
too.
when I think about Audacity, I think of people like, even President Barack Obama had a book called The Audacity of Hope.
Mm.
And when I think about audacity, often it has these negative connotations because people think that it means that you're arrogant or that your head is too big. But in every single space that I've been in, and like you, we've been in a lot of rooms, we see our counterparts asking for the things that they haven't earned. They might come to the meeting with a 1-page proposal.
If they have a proposal.
If there's a proposal with misspelled words and ask for the most audacious numbers. And so when I think about, audacity in this context with technology, with AI transformation, with job shifting, if we don't go after what we want, we are going to be left behind. Full stop. And so for me, audacious means asking for the thing that scares you, applying for the job that you feel like you're underqualified for, do it anyway, and do it scared. Just do it scared.
Audacity does have a negative connotation. Do we want to get you a seat? Are you sure? Okay. Like, I don't have to stand all the time. We're going to be talking for a while, honey. Audacity does have a negative connotation. It's so something I've gotten heat for my entire career is that I don't believe in being humble.
Yes.
And every time I say that, well, the church folk come out in droves. Blah, blah, humility, God. And when I say it, I say I am humble before God only. I am not humble before other humans. You and all your fucked up shit don't have nothing to do with humbling me, honey. Because every time I've been humble for other people, it has come at my detriment and their glorification or their amplification. And it has not served me in any way. And I feel like audacity kind of falls under that same scope because humility for what? Why am I being humble?
I'll tell you, I have been overly humble, right? I'm from the South, right? We were taught respectability politics, grew up in the church, just all the things. And it served me for a long time. Put your head down, do the work. The results will eventually pay off. But those days are done. So done. And I think that sometimes we have to pop our collar. And, often, to your point, it's like, why should we remain humble when our resume speaks a different story? Why should we remain humble when the receipts are the receipts? And it doesn't mean that every day we're going to be banging our hands on the table, but it means for sure we're going to walk in with a different level of like posture and swag about us. And so for me, humility is dead. It has to be, because if we keep moving that way, then who would notice the hard work that's been done and who will care?
That's interesting you say that, because I have a friend who a couple years ago, she was going through a transition in her career, and she was talking about how her work was never cited to her in the building, and she would do all these things and she would book these people and she would get these huge moments for the company, and someone else would always step in at the last minute and kind of swoop away her credit. And I said, girl, that's your fault. I'll be damned. I put that shit together and somebody else did. What did you do? What did you do? No, sir. I did this. I have the text messages right here. See that's my friend. That's why they're in the building. You did what? You typed up the name tag. Congratulations. I don't care how you feel about it. You didn't do this work. You will not be taking credit for it. And I said, you have to do that. Yeah. You cannot work in silence. Working in silence is never, you never work in silence. You work very loud. I would even say, like, it's not for interns. I was loud as fuck when I was an intern. I want this opportunity. I got this done. I booked this person. I brought in this sale. Like, you have to let people know what your work is.
You do. And there's such a fine line, right? So when I think about for me, like I'm not naturally wired to pop my ish. I'm just not,
I
right?
am.
It's like so for me, I've had to be strategic in the moments or in the rooms where maybe that energy would have been rejected too. So instead of me sometimes, saying the things that I've done, I have sponsors in the space. I might have advocates in the space. I might have people that have a little bit more protection position,
Right.
right? Who can actually say the things for me. And over time, that helped me develop my own voice. And so for me, I think sometimes, I know I push young people when I'm speaking to them, like, say the things, do the things. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't because the systems sometimes aren't designed or set up for that type of safety. But when they're not, we can still be strategic in how we
Well,
use our
there's a
voice.
game to play.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, you worked in the highest level of corporate and political spaces. And so, there's a game to play.
Mhm.
And we can pretend like there's not a game to play
Yeah.
all we want.
Yeah.
And we can zap the nuance out of every conversation. And we can pretend that this is a fair playing field and that, knowing people or family or looks or any of these things don't matter. And they absolutely fucking do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to do the work. And that's the thing that I feel like a lot of people miss in, especially young people, when you have these conversations. Yes, you need opportunities. You need doors opened. You need advocates. You need people to speak for you in the room. You need people to recognize your talent, but you also have to have the talent.
Yeah.
And combining that and being strategic with it is so important.
I'll say one more thing. It was actually my mom who made the shift for me around Audacity, because I remember when I was pregnant with my second child, I'm working at Google and I was just playing everything by the books, as we always do and should. And I remember wanting to go back to work early before my maternity leave ended. And she was like, why would you do that? And I'm like, well, I want them to know that I'm serious. And I want them to know that I'm a team player and I'm, still going to come back in and lead. And she said, you're at a different level now. So your responsibility is to rest. Your responsibility is to take your leave, because you're going to start training and conditioning the young people around you to think that they can't be bold and take a rest, because it just so. For me, it was my mom saying to like, what got us here, Joy, won't get us there. And it requires the audacity. It requires putting humility aside and like saying the things that even make you scared.
But you like that fear in you that you were going to fall behind, even taking maternity leave that you are entitled to and that is normal and is necessary for your life and your family is so ingrained in us.
Yes.
And it's so a part. There's two things that came to mind. One is that I'm glad that your mother said that, because I do think in leadership roles, the audacity changes and the way that you deliver things changes and the way that you take credit changes. Because if your team did something, then your language has to change. And sometimes it's important that your team knows that you did it.
Yes.
So that now this is what I did. We're going to do it together next time.
Yeah.
But I pulled it together as the leader. But if it was a team thing, it needs to be a we. We did this, not me. And that when you become a leader, that language has to change.